Okay. Ron Washington was asked if he and the Angels have been monitoring Shohei Ohtani's free agency. And then he responded with this: I don't have too much to say about that because I don't want to let anything out of the bag. So, Mr. Washington, can we have permission to speculate wildly? It's time to get locked on with Mike and John. And this is Locked On Angels.
You are Locked On Angels, your daily Los Angeles Angels podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. You can find us anywhere you get your podcast, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and SiriusXM by searching Locked On Angels. And if you would like to give back to the Super Halo Bros for all the Super Halo content, here's some things that you can do. Leave us a rate and a review on Apple Podcasts. We love 5 stars. And if you're watching on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button. And if you're not subscribed already, please subscribe to become a Locked On Everydayer. And whether you're watching or listening, come on over to YouTube and leave a comment. It's one of the best ways to get in touch with us and be a part of the conversation.
Thank you for being here for this episode of Locked On Angels, where it's your team every day. You've got the Frisch Brothers here with you, aka the Super Halo Bros. My name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John. John, did you do the Corey Matthews? So come on.
Come on. Yes, I did. Yeah.
Good Boy Meets World reference.
I've done that a couple of times waiting for you to notice.
Finally, I did.
Yeah, you did. Listen, friends, we're here Monday through Friday, of course, until next week. We'll go to a Monday, Wednesday, Friday schedule until right before spring training. But you can expect content from us on Monday, Wednesday, Friday episodes. Then we'll do some short form content in between those episodes. And on today's show, we were going to talk about 3 pitchers that the Angels had been attached to. But obviously, with the winter meetings, there's so much news, there's so much stuff coming out that one little sentence, Mike, set off all the alarm bells in Angel fandom. And so it's time to, like you said, speculate wildly on what Ron Washington had to say. And I think there's one question that can sum it up, Mike. What's in the bag? Oh God. What's in the bag?
That was good. All right, let me reset the conversation for us. So Monday, new manager Ron Washington spoke to the media at the winter meetings in Nashville, and he was asked if he and the Angels have been paying attention to Shohei Ohtani's free agency. Well, of course they have, right? Sure. It's not that they're not paying attention to it. Sure they have. What a dumb question. So he was asked, how much attention are you giving to signing Shohei or seeing him sign somewhere else or sign here? And so Wash kind of chuckled and leaned forward, and he said, I don't have too much to say about that because I don't want to let anything out of the bag. Mm-hmm. So our buddy, friend of the show, Sam Blum, asked, is there anything to let out of the bag?
Right. Good question, Sam. Way to go.
So Wash then emphasized his previous answer, Johnny. He said, I don't have anything to say about that right now because I don't want to let anything out of the bag. Johnny, what do you make of this?
Mike, okay. You're a dad. You've obviously, you've got 3 kids. And when your kids ask you like, Dad, am I getting what I asked for Christmas? And you play coy like, I don't know. We'll see. That's what this felt like, right? Yes, Dad, am I getting the PlayStation 5 or the Switch or whatever? Like, I don't know, son.
I don't know. Did you ask Santa for it?
Yeah, exactly. And that's how this felt, Mike. And so that was the kind of energy that at least I got from it. And I thought that was pretty funny.
Could I just respond to Ron Washington then?
Sure.
We asked Santa for Shohei. So are you saying, so you're telling me there's a chance?
They're telling me there's a chance. Mike, listen to this. Shortly after all of that happened, Buster Olney from ESPN tweeted, only Shohei Ohtani seems to know where he's going to sign, leaving everyone else to guess. One player agent thinks he's going back to the Angels because of money, sure, but also because he's devoted to routine and no organization would offer him more autonomy than the Angels.
Johnny,
it's almost like we've been saying that for the last 2 years, Michael.
We have been saying that often on this show, but to have Buster Olney give credit to the Angels and the possibility that Shohei Ohtani is returning to Anaheim is mind-blowing because it's been in the national media that he's not coming back. It's been in every media that he's not coming back. Even Angel fans have said, he's not coming back. They were saying that back in April, right? Like Shohei's gone. Right. And so now all of a sudden the narrative has changed. And for you and I, and for a lot of our everydayers, the narrative never really has changed. It's kind of been in this category of the Angels have given him a lot of autonomy and almost said autonomy. That's probably
autonomy. There you go.
Can I copyright that? But the truth is that the Angels allowed him to be who he is. And there was a lot of pushback, like, well, other teams would have done that too. The truth is that we don't know. We don't know. The Angels made a decision, and then they continued to make decisions with Shohei Ohtani to give him that freedom to be who he is. And now to have Buster Olney say, well, it's like, I hate this. I just want you to know I hate this.
Yeah. Listen, last night on MLB Network, Greg Amsinger, he had this pie chart, right? And he said, this is where I believe each team has a chance of landing Shohei Ohtani. He had 30% Dodgers, 30% Blue Jays, 20% Cubs, 10% Braves, 5% Giants, and 2% Angels. And then like a 1% for like the Yankees, the Mets, the Mariners, all that stuff. The Giants, right? Or not Giants, they're 5%. To which Mark Feinsand and John Heyman were like, no, absolutely not. That is 100% incorrect. And they even both said, you can bump up the Angels to at least 20%. And Feinsand said in the last 24 hours, he's had several people tell him that they think Ohtani will go back to the Angels. And Mike, when you have John Heyman saying good things about the Angels and saying that they have a 20% chance, that's something, considering how much bias he showed towards Aaron Judge and the MVP last season. Like, even John Heyman believes that the Angels have a chance. So I need to ask you something here, Mike, and this is for the benefit of you and I and our fan hearts, but also for every Angel fan, every Locked On Everydayer. Let's ask this question. Are we going to be buttercupped? Are we ready to be buttercupped here? Because is this another Perry Manassian, we haven't seen Santa yet moment from like last year? And now that I think about it, did we ever see Santa?
I don't.
After that moment, I feel like
Renfro? I don't.
Yeah, I feel like he got
Santa. That was Cole.
I feel like he got everything done before that comment.
Yeah.
In terms of the additions that they made, and then another one is this another Jeff Fletcher of the OC Register tweeting the eyeball pancakes and teddy bear emojis during the Garrett Cole sweepstakes? Is that what this is? So I'm concerned about that, but this leads me to the next question, Mike. What's in the bag?
Well, let me go back. Let me go back to the buttercup question.
Okay.
We're going to get buttercupped if we thought that Ohtani was gone. But from the beginning, I know that you and I, specifically me, have always said, I don't think he's gone. I wouldn't be surprised if he resigns. And everybody is speaking from what perspective they would have. And the reality is we don't know. We've never known. Shohei's kept it on the down low. And, you know, he might sign with the Montreal Expos, right? Like, I mean, that's how Shohei operates. What's
that new team? The team in Oakland, the Ballers, the Oakland Ballers. They're playing in the league. Yeah, they got a new team up there. So there you go.
But the truth is for Shohei Ohtani to come back would not be a surprise to me, would not necessarily be a surprise to you. And for a lot of people, we have just heard a lot of people who have said, well, he's going to do this or he's going to do that, because that's what they would do. But we don't know what Shohei would do. And the reality is that this guy, when he says he wants to win, it didn't mean that I want to win with another team that's already winning. I've been in the category of he's Steph Curry, not Kevin Durant. And I know that basketball and the analogies compared to baseball are very different.
Right.
However, I think he wants to win, and I think he wants to win here. And he said he wants to win here. So we're going to get buttercupped if we thought that Shohei was gone 1,000%. But the truth is that we've been in that category, you and I specifically, and a lot of our everydayers, we've been in the, well, if he comes back, I'm not going to be surprised. But if he doesn't come back, I won't be surprised either.
Are we, wait a second, this just hit me. You're telling me there's a chance that we could buttercup everyone else for a change? Oh, that'd be so glorious. Yeah. That'd be fantastic.
Johnny, here's the truth. And I said this, and you said this on this show last year. Ohtani resigns with this team. He'll become the most hated baseball player for a few weeks. I don't think that it'll last very long. But I already looked at the comments when people were tweeting out this stuff. I looked at the comments
under Buster Olney's comment. Yeah.
And people were fired up. Like, oh, this can't be. And then you can't feel sorry for him if he doesn't win. And he doesn't want to win if he goes back to No. Yeah. Like, then Marcus Simeon didn't want to win when he went to Texas.
Right.
Corey Seager as well. Right. Like, they didn't want to win.
Yeah.
Right. They didn't want to win. So the truth is, we're not going to get buttercupped. I think America, baseball fans, might get buttercupped.
Right.
Johnny.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said specifically America, because a lot of our Locked On Everydayers from Japan have reinforced a lot of what you and I have been saying on the show, where it's like, no, he loves the Angels. He really wants to win there. And everybody in Japan is rooting for him to win with the Angels. And Miri Kaku, who is a frequent commenter on YouTube, shout out to Miri Kaku, because they are always sharing what's coming out in the news in Japan that you and I might miss over here. And I think we are so boxed in this American sports bubble that we miss out on a lot of important information. Also, Mike, we've said this all along. Shohei Ohtani was always going to go to free agency, and he was always going to do his due diligence to go to each team and say, all right, what do you got for me? Because if he is tied to the Blue Jays or the Cubs or the Braves or Giants or whatever, he's going to go have those conversations. Who wouldn't have those conversations? Sure. Because there might be an offer out there that is more enticing. There might be a situation that he does want to go to. Exploring your options is never a bad thing. And it was always going to happen. There was never going to be an Ohtani extension. There was never going to be an Ohtani trade. There was never going to be any of that, because Ohtani was always going to free agency, right?
Right. Because it brings the price up. He gets to see his value. Then he gets to bring it back to the Angels and go, here's how valuable I am. If the Angels didn't know that, somebody commented, I think it was under Buster Olney's tweet, and they said, well, he would have re-signed if he wanted to stay with the Angels. No, Aaron Judge would have re-signed if he wanted to stay with the Yankees. He went to free agency, saw what was out there, then he came back. And I think
he was a Giant for like a minute, right?
Absolutely. Well, that was Arson Judge. That was
my bad. That's right.
But I think that Ohtani got to see what's out there. And again, that's why I'm not surprised if he does come back, because all indications are he's comfortable here. He loves this team. And then I love this one. Somebody said, I think Ippei bought a house in like Long Beach. So what is he going to do? Right? Like, so he's not going to uproot Ippei. He wants Ippei to be comfortable too. So I wouldn't be surprised if he re-signs. But Johnny, to that question, what's in the bag? Do you think that this is just Ron Washington being excited? Or do you think that he has the plan in mind? Like he knows what Perry is going to try to do?
Well, somebody made the point of saying, if there was already a deal done, then they would have announced it already. But Mike, I think it's going to take more than just a straight up, hey, here's 10 years, 500 million or whatever. It's going to be, look, Shohei, if you want to abandon ship, we'll give you an opt-out after 2, after 3, after 4, whatever. Shohei, we know that you want to pitch again. And so if you do pitch again, we want to add some incentives. If you hit this many innings, then you can come back and earn a little bit more money because of that, right? I think that's all part of this process.
Well, something that you did on yesterday's show when we were talking about trading Rendon that I didn't realize, but you talked about the luxury tax number versus what the actual salary is. They can be different. And all of that stuff has to be worked out. Right. And quite honestly, they're not in the details right now. They're in the, what about this? What about that? Well, the Giants said this, right? And so all of that stuff has to be worked out. So I don't think we're going to hear anything specifically within the next couple of days. Wouldn't be surprised if maybe by the end of the week we get an idea. They say, hey, we've signed him, and then the contract details are being worked through. But the truth is there's a lot they still have to work through, whether it's with the Angels or with somebody else.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, we're just getting started here on Locked On Angels. And now that we've speculated wildly, we do appreciate you making us your first listen every single day. We want to address some concerns that Angel fans have, Locked On Everydayers have about bringing back Ohtani. Is the cost of Ohtani going to be too much for the team to spread the wealth and be competitive? And will the Angels remain the same and be the same team they've been for the last 6 years if Ohtani comes back? Well, we're going to get into all of that and answer those very important questions coming right up.
Locked On Angels is brought to you by our friends at Jace Medical. We know that you come here for sports to escape some of the crazy realities of real life. But if we could just talk for a minute about preparing for those crazy realities in life. According to the FDA, pharmacies are really struggling with keeping antibiotics like amoxicillin on hand. And it's happening right in the middle of a really bad flu season right now, one of the worst in a decade. And so here's some of the good news.
I was going to say, I have this dumb cough for the last 2 weeks. So yeah, you don't have to tell me.
Keep paying attention to this ad, John, because there's some good information coming. So here's some good news. This doesn't have to be a worry for you, Johnny, or for your wife. You can get yourself a Jace case With the Jace case, there's 5 different antibiotics that treat a long list of bacterial illnesses. They include UTIs, respiratory and sinus infections, skin infections, and more. You can visit jacemedical.com and complete your physician encounter. It will be reviewed by a board-certified physician, and your medications will be dispensed by a licensed pharmacy at a fraction of the regular cost. It's never been more important to be prepared than it is right now, and Jace Medical is here for you. So visit jacemedical.com, and you can use our promo code LOCKEDON. You'll get $20 off your order. That's JASEmedical.com.
It's the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. And of course, you get Locked On Angels. And thank you for making us your first listen every single day. Hey, everydayers, don't forget that Locked On has launched the first ever 24/7 national sports streaming channel on YouTube. So go on over to YouTube, search Locked On Sports today, because they're there for you 24/7 with all the top stories in sports, including where's Ohtani going to land, right? And of course, you have all the local experts of Locked On's many team-specific shows. You've also got the national shows covering all the top stories across the NBA, the NFL, and of course, the MLB. So go to Locked On Sports today, right now on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, and be part of the first ever 24/7 national sports streaming channel.
John, they say if your hand itches, you're going to get some money, but my foot keeps itching. Does that mean Ohtani's coming back? Is that?
I've never heard either of those things.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, how about some payroll concerns? There's a lot of people that are really concerned about if the Angels can afford Shohei Ohtani, and it's fair to ask if the Angels can still be competitive when they're paying Shohei possibly $45 to $50 million a year. It's what John and I are negotiating with Locked On right now.
Right.
It's a legitimate concern from Angel fans and from a lot of our everydayers, including a few, Johnny, that you have in front of us here. So why don't you share those?
Yeah, here's a great tweet from Jimmy TH on Twitter, who always has insightful comments and really important things to consider. So shout out to Jimmy, because
Jimmy's smart.
Yeah, Jimmy's down. Jimmy's smart. Yeah. As much as I'd love to see the national MLB media cry,
I love it.
And as much as I want to see Shohei and Angel Red, if the reports on the price tag are to be believed, I can't give him that much. I just can't. The Angels can win without him. Every other good team over the past 6 seasons has won without him. He continued, I want to win with him so badly, but I just can't see them building a competitive roster with him at that price unless something radically changes. They will pretty much have to go the Mets-Padres level spending to win in the near term, and that's not close to a guarantee. And then he was replying to another tweet about, Arte Moreno being a billionaire. Basically, somebody said, well, Jimmy, it's not your money. But Jimmy said, that's not the point.
Yeah.
The point is, do we have any reason to think Arte will be any different than usual? Sign Ohtani, then have that be the only big move for 5+ years. If they sign Ohtani tomorrow and did nothing else, they'd be the exact same team they were this year. If Arte proves me wrong, then fantastic. So Mike, shout out once again to Jimmy, because these are all excellent points. He always brings a lot to the conversation, and he's much appreciated. And I thought it would be a good idea to kind of, go through the concerns that he has, because I believe a lot of Angel fans and Locked On Everydayers share the same concerns. Yep. I have some of these concerns as well. And what we're about to do is break that down. And it's not that these answers are the be all and all correct. You're right, we're wrong, or vice versa. You know what I'm saying? This is just, these are things that you need to consider. So let's start with this. Do we have any reason to believe that Arte won't continue to do Arte things, that he just wants Shohei back and that's all he really cares about, and that his moneymaker is back? And will he, quote unquote, Trout the situation? Because Trout signed the long-term deal and they made all these promises, and then they fell flat on their face with Trout, and that's why he's in the situation that he's in. So Mike, why don't you start with an answer to that question?
We don't have any guarantee that Arte's going to be different. Absolutely not. But I can say as a fan that something feels different with Ron Washington at the helm. One example, the hitting and pitching coaches were able to do interviews, and they did interviews with an exiled reporter in Sam Blum. And so that's a good thing. Listen, Arte's a good businessman. He didn't get there by accident. And I think that he sees and he's hearing the critiques. Even Victor Rojas has said that he texted him and said, we got to get this together, bro. And all indications is that he's really liked in the organization, even though he hasn't done some of the best things with some of the people there. So indications are that no, he's not going to be any different, but I think that there's a different feel around this team. It feels different because of the coaching that has been hired and because of the anticipation of what Wash can bring to this organization. So no, Arte hasn't done anything that's changed, but I do see some of the different changes that have been made in this organization, just with the coaching staff and the way that they're approaching the media.
That's all really good points. For me, I don't think Ohtani comes back if there's no change.
Yeah.
I don't think he comes back
Yeah.
if it's the same game plan. And that's why I think the contract's taking a little bit longer. They're working out some opt-outs for him and whatnot, because I think those are necessary.
Yep.
And he does want to win. And I believe that he wants to win with the Angels. But if they're going to continue the same track record, he's got to be able to have an eject button. So Ohtani has to say yes to this.
Yeah.
And I don't think he does unless he sees some real valuable change coming from the front office. Mike, how about this? Can the Angels build a competitive roster if they're paying Ohtani all this money?
Well, did you ever see the numbers just from what happened in Japan with Shohei Ohtani on the Angels? I mean, he helped to stir up, I think it was $300 million in American money.
And then NHK, I believe, is the name of the broadcasting network that airs Angels games.
Yeah.
And they paid for those rights as well.
And so I think that there's going to be enough resource out there, and they're not going to have to go in the hole or take out a loan like the Padres had to do that. And quite honestly, John, they don't have the privilege of going halfway in anymore. They've pulled out way too much goodwill from the fan bank, right? Our bank, everybody's bank, the everydayers bank. And I don't think that you have to spend crazy money, but I do think that they have to make put a competitive team together and make competitive offers to these players that are out there right now, and not say we tried. They have to be the ones that are leading the way. And all indications are that they're going to have the money to be able to do that. And so I think that the answer is yes, that they can. I think that the coaching is going to help these younger players. And I don't think you have to go and sign everybody and their mama. I think that this hitting coach is going to do really great with Reed Detmers and Patrick Sandoval. And I think that with Perry, you can make some really strategic trades. So yes, I think the answer is that they can have a competitive roster with Ohtani on there, but they can't just do Shohei Ohtani and that's it.
Yeah, this is why I've been saying you've got to invest in the long term and you've got to roll the dice in the short term. Ohtani is investing in the long term. That signing is investing long term. Can the Angels be competitive in 2024? Maybe. They might surprise us, but even if they aren't, it doesn't make this a massive failure. But they can build off what they get out of the guys next year and get Shohei back to pitching in 2025, and then you have a plan for what comes next. Mike, the next question here is, can this team be competitive in 2024, as Perry Minasian says they will be?
Yeah, Johnny, if they're healthy, they will be. Look at last year. They were in the race, and they were doing well with the team that they had last year. And then because of injuries, they fell apart. And it's always that. It's always if. It's always the health. I get it. And I don't want to be a broken record, and I don't want to get buttercup there. But quite honestly, the roster they had last year was good enough to be competitive and to sneak maybe into the wild card, that third spot, or maybe even the number 2 spot. And the way that things ended up, they were on pace to get to about the same amount of wins as those teams that finished in third and finished in second in the wild card. So yeah, I think they can be competitive. They got to stay healthy. They got to stay on the field. And I hope that they can do that, but there's no guarantee that it'll happen.
Yeah, there's no guarantee of health for sure. Now, for me, I agree with you on the health side, but also the coaching side, because I think the coaching staff can get a lot out of these guys. We're going to have to wait and see. That remains to be seen, but that's why I say no expectations for 2024. And in some ways, this is a rebuilding year in my books, because Perry rebuilt this team right under our noses with all of the new guys that he's been able to bring in through trades and drafting and things like that. And he hasn't had to sell off the huge pieces like Trout and those guys, which is the way most rebuilds go. So again, I don't have any expectations for next year, but I do anticipate them getting better because, again, the floor has been raised. So it'll be interesting to see what happens next season.
Johnny, I'm thinking about that tweet from Jimmy that he shared with us and had one major idea behind it. If Ohtani comes back, how is this team any different than what it's been in the last 6 years? So let's tease that out in this last segment. Why don't you get us started? We can't hear you. You're muted.
I'm muted. There we go. let's first off discuss Ohtani's first 3 years versus the last 3 years. And the truth is that Ohtani was not Ohtani in 2018 through 2020. He got hurt. He could only hit. It took him time to get back on the mound. And then 2021 is when he broke out and became the unicorn that we know him as now. So, Mike, if we're investing in the future, if the Angels are investing in their future, and the Angels have literally been through this routine with him before, they know what comes next. They know that they're going to get the 2-time, should be 3-time MVP back.
Yep.
And what they need to do for 2025 and beyond. So, yes, are you paying 50 million for, not 50 grand, I wish. Are you paying 50 million for a DH next year? Yes. But when he's smacking home runs and hitting 45 plus bombs, you're not going to be thinking about that. You're going to be thinking about how awesome it is.
Yep.
But aside from that, yes, we will have a DH only next year, but that doesn't mean it's going to be that way for the rest of his career. So I think investing in him now is important because they know what they're going to get back once he's healthy again.
Let's talk about the front office and management, John. They've had Scioscia, Osmus, Madden, and then Phil Nevin. 4 managers over 6 years, 2 GMs over the same amount of time. And it's interesting just to see how frustrated Mariner fans are with Jerry Dipoto. And now they're feeling our pain when Dipoto was here. And I think a part of what Perry Minasian has had to do, even though Billy Epler was in between, is he's had to rebuild this team because Dipoto depoted. And he really messed this team up and wasn't fantastic. And Epler wasn't super great either, right?
No, Epler's picks and rebuild in the farm system were not great.
Yeah, and Minasian has had 3 years to make an impression on this team, but the first year, this year, has really been the year that he's been able to select his own manager and really build his coaching staff. And Ron Washington's coming in with experience. He's got leadership, Johnny. He's hungry to be a manager again. Wash is also bringing in a staff that's experienced and capable, something the Angels haven't had.
No.
I mean, they cleaned house. And I love that Wise is gone. I love that Marcus Timms is gone. I love that Jeremy Reed is gone. It's a new staff, a brand new staff, which I love. And this is the first time in really 6 years in all of Ohtani's career with the Angels that there's been some sort of synergy or cohesion from the front office to the dugout to the field.
And I think it's really on that note, Ohtani's tenure with the Angels has been complete chaos, and not because of him, but because there's been inconsistency from the front office. We've had manager, GM, and then maybe even like the COVID season was chaos too. So you didn't get, the most out of what you could out of the team in 2020. But whether people like to admit it or not, Mike, I believe the floor has been raised for the Halos. Ron Washington and this new coaching staff, they're going to come in and I believe make this team better than it was in 2024. And we've already gotten great insight from Barry Enright in that article with Sam Blum, that Q&A. He also identified the issues he's already seen with the Angels pitching and the starting rotation. And then Sam also had a Q&A with Johnny Washington that was not as insightful, but he did mention how he's taking a case-by-case approach with each of the hitters. And we know that that's been successful for guys like Cody Bellinger because every hitter is different. You can't do a one-size-fits-all kind of approach. And then we've got the young talent on this team, Zach Neto and Logan O'Hoppe and Nolan Shawnuel and those guys, Mickey Moniak, Joe Adell. They're all going to be elevated by Ron Washington because he's proven that he can do that. He's done it with Marcus Semien. He's done it with the guys on the Braves, and he's going to be able to do that here as well. So if this is the well, at least the Angels did this. If the coaching staff is their big move of the offseason, well, that's going to be terrible. Yeah. But I will say that it is a big move because it raises the floor. Now they obviously need to add players, but they improved just by virtue of the coaching staff, Mike.
So will this team be any different than the last 6 years with Shohei? Well, some of the points that we made was there's going to be cohesion from the front office to the dugout to the field, a brand new coaching staff with Wash at the helm, young players who are much more capable than they've demonstrated or been given credit for, an investment in the future by getting Ohtani now and continuing to add the players over the offseason, this offseason, next offseason, like Texas did with Marcus Semien and Corey Seager and DeGrom. Like they're following kind of that same roadmap. And really, John, the last point is adding Ohtani adds incredible value to this team, which could potentially incentivize Arte to sell once and for all.
Oh yeah, like if Ohtani comes back to this franchise and he's here for the next 10 years, like that's a guarantee that Artie's going to sell, because you lost, I don't know, $500 million just by virtue of not selling when you did. And then Ohtani's got, like, he's got to get him back, Mike, if he wants to sell this team for as much as I believe that he wants to sell it for, whether it's 3.5 or $4 billion or whatever it was going for, because it certainly isn't as valuable as it was when Ohtani was on the team. So Artie's going to want him back. And I'm sure we'll see Arte wanting to sell within the next couple of years.
And this conversation is why you make Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. And everydayers, remember, Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. It's called Locked On Sports Today, and they're covering the top sports stories of the day with local experts like John and I. And they have the national shows that are covering every league and some of the big stories that are out there. So go to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube and hit subscribe to the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel.
Hey, give us a follow at Locked On Angels on Twitter and at Super Halo Bros on Twitter and Instagram. If you're watching or listening on the podcast side, come on over to YouTube, find today's show, comment below the video, because we love getting into the comments and responding to you guys. We are always appreciative. It's also a really great way to help out our channel and help the episode get out there. Also hit that like button. And if you haven't subscribed, we'd love to have you subscribe as well. Mike, what do we have on deck for tomorrow's show?
Well, just like we did today, we're going to be paying attention to those GM winter meetings, and we're going to talk through what happened. And if there's some point that we need to share with you, we're going to share that with you first on social media, and then we'll tease it out here on the show. So for all of your Angel news and all of your baseball news, come and join us tomorrow on Locked On Angels.
Yeah, I guess making plans during the winter meetings isn't always the best idea, because we had a whole show lined up, ready and to go, and it was like, well, maybe we should pivot. So like, I think we'll be flexible until the winter meetings.
I'm not even going to go to work tomorrow.
Over. Oh, there you go. All right, friends, thank you for being here for this conversation. Until tomorrow's show, my name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
Thanks for being here with us, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.
I got to be honest. If he resigns, I'm going to go nuts. I'm going to go nuts on.
What's in the bag?
We've got receipts, and I'm going to